So when you have these guys, do you for your own knowledge, for your own understanding, I mean, you got 400 guys, bro. Like, do you categorize these people by personality? Do you categorize them by finances, by goals? How do you break, because like with gym launch, right? I'm in a group of guys that are similar gym owners to me. They have similar problems to me, similar size gyms, right? Like the real big gyms are with, the box gyms are together, whatever, right? How do you categorize? And with my athletes, shit, I put baseball guys together. I put football guys together. How do you categorize or organize your coaching in a way that's conducive for everyone's growth? Or do you?
Yeah, I mean, like on the entry level side, not much of it. There's no tribes. It's like we are specifically working on one thing, the fitness. Now, do we talk about a lot of other shit? Yeah. Are you giving me some ideas? Fuck yeah. But as you get into like when we did the awakening, yeah, like we it's a smaller group. So it's much easier to know each other. Like everyone knows each other. And then as it goes to I had four groups. I had the brotherhood, the awakening, the surrendering, and the council. So as you get closer to the top, then I know the guys much more as they get closer to me. But there were guys in the brotherhood that like I didn't know their names. And I didn't like that. Like where they'd be on a Zoom and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Um, but I also understand that like if you want to help a lot of people, you got to have levels of access. But what you're bringing up, we did do tribes at one point where we had some of our guys that had been through, like have a tribe of 10. So each, we'd have mentors that would have 10 guys under them. Um, and then we would categorize like blue collar workers. There were firemen, police, military, ton of firemen, police, and military. And then kind of other, but I've never really broken it down to like specifically um, gamifying it and choosing like personality traits or hobbies. Like I find this to be really, really fascinating, especially as the group grows again, because it will. Like it'll blow up past 700. It'll go to thousands, and at some point, it's too much if you don't have something very clear, a span of control. So I don't know, man. You got me thinking, dude.
What's your goal? Like financially, right? Like what is your do you have a financial goal with this?
Yeah, yeah. And for me, a lot of it is like the brand just being on the map and shining as a place where guys know that if they're struggling, I want a guy to know like if he's in that spot where he's hitting that age where he's dying inside and he's got no one to talk to, and he can't get up in the morning. He can't get himself to work out. He ain't having sex with his wife. He feels like he's powerless. He used to feel like a fucking savage, and he can't seem to get out of that mud. Like I want that brand SHF to be like known that guy knows that that's the place to go. What does that look like? I don't know. Fucking past eight figures, probably like 100 million a year. I don't know. But do I actually have a specific income goal? I actually don't. Like, I
Maybe
really
that's
don't.
maybe that's part of your why you haven't crossed that 2 million mark too, because you don't know
It
where
might
you're
be.
going.
Yeah. I think I'm still searching.
Hmm.
Like, I'm genuinely still searching. Like, what does this look like? And will it change again? Probably. And in this process, like we talked about, like when you are transforming personally, that's such an incredible rate. And my wife is at the same time. It's kind of hard to find your feet because you wake up a different person a month from now and you're like, what I want has changed.
Yeah.
What my heart is connected to is different, right? Like a year ago, I had no God in my life. Now I spend 2 hours in communion with God every morning. Like that's very different. So that's part of me finding myself too, like really getting into the story of Jesus and like his teachings and really looking internally, like what is my heart? What are the intents of my heart? Are these intents pure? Am I prideful? Am I selfish? Where is there evil in me? And am I seeing it? Am I being deceived? So these are all questions I'm asking myself now, and I don't have all the answers.
So, Kyle, can you go a little bit into then this part of your story? Because obviously you had a unique upbringing, and then you said you've only sort of come or welcomed Jesus in the last 2 years. So, can you give us a little bit of that timeline, please?
Yeah, for sure. So I was raised Mormon. Like I was very disciplined as a kid. I was around all the shit, all the drugs. I was in a punk rock band, skateboarder. All my friends were smoking, injecting, just snorting everything. Like my buddies getting their dick sucked in 6th grade behind the handball court, and I'm watching for security. Like this is normal for me. Never partook in any of it. And I went on a mission, and that was really my vision. I was going on a mission for the Mormon Church, and I was preparing myself for that. So I really got acquainted with real life, and I wanted to go out into real life and do some good. So I did 2 years like a monk. I didn't have a boner for 2 years. It was crazy. I got home from my mission and I was like, does this thing still work? I hope it still works. And then Mormon style, like you're like, all right, where is my wife? Look around, you're like, you seem like you would make a good wife. Let's have children. So that's what I did. I met my wife and like got married, started having kids.
Was she Mormon?
She was newly converted, and she had a boyfriend on a mission, and she had a ring on waiting for him. And I snagged her ass. Sorry, bro. Same shit happened to me. So I get into banking, and I'm good with people, and we kind of blow up. You know, they put me in a desk, and I'm like, all right, what do you want me to do? They're like, sell money. I'm like, okay. And, you know, I'm like 26 years old, making like $250,000 a year. I'm like, God loves me. I am righteous. If I do good, God will bless me. And then 2008 came and just obliterated us, dude. All my houses, 401k, cars repoed off the street, move in with my parents. Fuck. I'm 28 years old, fucking crown obliterated, just great fucking thing. Best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing. Because if I would have taken that road, I would have turned into a fucking asshole. So my wife's like, what are we going to do? I was like, I'm going to be a fireman. I was like, look at the schedule. It's amazing. I'm going to go sign up right now. Then I realized that track, holy shit. I'm like a couple years into that track, and I'm like, if I knew what the fuck this was going to take, yeah, I probably never would have gotten into this game. Multiple fire academies, paramedic school, ride-alongs, being treated like an absolute dog bitch, EMT working for a fire department, being just verbally, emotionally abused for years. Finally get hired after pissing my pants for 3 years with my stomach in my throat. And like the job itself is one thing, like stressful, but it's the social pressure in that world is fucked. Like you are just hammered.
From what? From outsiders or within the?
Oh, like within the brotherhood of the firehouse. Like if you're new, you pay your fucking dues. You can do nothing right. Constantly criticized, made fun of, jokes played on you. like ultimately humbled. And so that was like a 6-year process of just being a bitch. Because when you finally get hired, now you start over. And I didn't have like this natural bro capacity. Like I never played sports. I was a skateboarder, martial artist, surfer. I didn't play football. I wasn't in the locker room. So those guys like fucked me up, dude. And I'd get really nervous. My hands would shake and it was super obvious. So I'm like doing medical stuff and my hands are shaking. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And I'm like, nothing, sir. I'm just nervous. And they're like, Jesus, Slim Shaky. What the fuck? So they would just, I would be nervous to be nervous, you know, like I'd be nervous that I was going to get nervous and it would make me more nervous. And so after like a couple years, and that like I got injured. I fucked my knees up real bad skateboarding. I tore the fuck out of my patellar tendons to where my knees couldn't bend because that was like my drug. I'd go to the skate park and feel all badass, and then at the firehouse I was just a bitch. So I go through this process of rehab. It took me a year and a half, but I learned about nutrition and fitness and rehab and was just super consistent. And after a year and a half, I'm in the squat rack with just 2 plates, and I did like 10, 15 reps. And I had this realization that I had my fucking legs back and just fell to my knees in tears. I was like, I got legs, bro. I got legs. And that next week, I go back to the firehouse. I walk in the door. I got like 20 pounds of muscle on my frame, abs, bicep vein. Every motherfucker looked at me different. And I can't tell if it was the confidence. It was probably a bit of both. The confidence that I gained through my discipline, and then also just the vibration of like having the physical body that they wanted. I became a leader immediately. Hands stopped shaking. Started making calls in very chaotic situations. Started getting very comfortable in chaos. And so that was a very big piece of me sharing fitness with people because it was a crossover for me. Now, going back to the religion thing, in the firehouse, dude, I saw some shit. Saw a lot. And then I also saw really good men that didn't have any God in their life or had different beliefs or were Muslim or were Buddhist. And they far surpassed my view of what a man was from what I had been exposed to. And so I was like, hold on a second. Like, I look up to these guys more than anyone I looked up to in the church. And so I started to ask some questions and get different ideas and thoughts coming in, and it just broke my frame. And when my frame broke, I got scared. And my fear was this: what if it's all not real? What if there is no God? What if I rot in the ground? What if all these people I've seen die just die and disappear? And I was terrified of that for a long time, but I went there and I sat in it. I sat in it for months and months and months until I had this epiphany one day. Holy shit. If there is no creator and we disappear after this life, then how blessed am I to even breathe today? And if this is the only time I'm going to exist, then I better make the most of it. And there was a huge switch. And then once I was not afraid of the dark anymore, then I started getting like messages and thoughts and ideas that I didn't have before. But I didn't know what that was. There was just a voice. It was the voice that had me build SuperHuman Fathers. It was the voice that made me want to be a better father and a better man. It was just this pulling of my soul that I can now hear because I had faced fear. And last year I was in a meditation actually. And just by chance, I go into this deep meditation and I'm gone. And Jesus appears to me. And it was the most, like, I've never felt so much love. And it was just, he just taught me like such incredible detailed principles in my meditation. And I came out and I just made the decision. I was like, I'm gonna follow this and see what this leads me to. And what did it lead me to? Being a better human, feeling more love, being more patient. And so I was like, this works. So I'm gonna choose to believe this. So that's where I'm at. I choose to believe because of the massive effects it's had on my life. Whether it's true or not, don't care. I choose to believe it. And it's had a shocking effect on my marriage. Transformation within my group has exploded. I brought the Bible into my group, which made half of them leave at one point. That was crazy. But that leads me here today where I still don't know shit.
While you're doing all you can to try to serve, which is super respectful. And I'm sure in 2 years from now, too, you're going to say the same thing. I still don't know shit.
Yep. Which means we can receive. If I can stay in that place where I don't know, but I feel, this is what I feel, but I don't know. That means when you speak, I can have a place for it. Otherwise, when I was Mormon, bro, it was different. It was like, I have the truth. And you would speak and I'd go, oh yeah, really? Really? And I just wait for my opening. Let me tell you why I'm better than you. Let me tell you why I know and you don't. Fuck that. That is not a place of God. There's no way. Can't be.
I can only imagine that growing up that way, you probably resented and had a lot of sort of more negative memories and experience of such a sort of secular childhood. But now you know, older, wiser, more handsome. If you look back, is there any benefits or blessings of that you feel like have helped you be who you are now, but you didn't recognize them at the time?
Yeah, I appreciate that question a lot because so much, so just the discipline, the ability to make yourself do shit that you don't want to do or restrain yourself is a practice, which I learned very young, which has helped me a ton. And then also the principles that are taught, I had a frame where I could test those principles, the principles of honesty, integrity, sacrifice. I tested those in that frame and they worked. Then when I got out of the frame, I tested those principles and they still worked, even with no God in the frame. They still worked. So I don't know if I would have ever really found those principles or I would have found them later, far later, if I didn't have a frame in which I tied a story to the principles in order to practice them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, and the mission, everything good came from my mission, man. Like just to be able to just let go and literally be in a place of service for 2 years, forgetting yourself completely, 100%, and getting lost in service, no matter what that service looks like. It's a powerful place to be and to feel. And I feel very much now similar to how I felt then.
So what was your mission? Where was it?
San Antonio, Texas, of all places. And then I did a lot of time on the border, like on the US side of the border, which was kind of crazy. Like there's literally dirt floors and shacks and this place called Cienegas in Texas. And I spent a lot of time there and it was like a different country. It was really strange. I didn't know that existed in the US. But I just spoke Spanish for about a year of the time there. I was in Spanish speaking area and then it was just Spanish only and really poor Spanish areas. You know, and the goal was like get them baptized. Like that's what you're doing all day. You were like seductively feeding them to get them to the point of commitment to baptism. And like the church has it all set up, like their marketing's all set up of like the lessons that you teach in order to prepare them. You ask direct will you questions to get them to commit to the next level. Micro commitments leading to bigger commitments. It's full marketing, bro.
So the looking back on being Mormon, why do you no longer believe in that? Just because some people like why pick Christianity over Mormonism, which is still like a quasi sect of Christianity, right? Like you just don't believe that now. You just don't believe that they found golden plates.
Well, here's the weird shit. I recently have gone like, oh shit, Joseph Smith was a prophet.
Okay.
And so was Muhammad. So was Buddha. They were all prophets. And how did I figure this out? Because I have men in my group write their prayers. I do the same. Every day, I type out my words to God, and then at the end, I let him speak through me back to me. And the words that come out are as powerful as scripture I've ever read, not just from me, but from every man that taps into the voice of God and writes. The truth, the wisdom that comes out of just a normal guy's writing, a normal dude who taps into God's voice. I have had incredible eye-opening experiences reading the writings of the men that are in SuperHuman Fathers. And I go, he's a prophet, and he's a prophet, and he's a prophet. I was like, holy shit, they're all prophets. They just have to tap in. Like, so when someone's like, Joseph Smith was a prophet, I'm like, no shit, he was human. He has the ability to connect, tap in, and receive messages.
Did you ever read the book Conversations with God?
Dude, I am in the middle of that right now.
Wild book.
Wild book.
There's many of them, though. There's many books. I think there's at least 4, I think. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It just feels free, you know? It feels so free to just believe. For so long I fought belief. And at some point this last year, I just said, you know what? I believe in miracles and magic. And I believe that this whole world is just set up for opportunities. And every conversation is just this amazing collision together that was just set up. And I don't know if it's for a specific purpose or it creates purpose and opportunity, but I have too many experiences where it just feels perfect. So I choose to believe it.
So,
Wonderful.
so from here, now part of SuperHuman Fathers, you have scripture. How do you organize your scripture with the SuperHuman Fathers? Just like, hey guys, we're reading this today. Like,
Yeah,
what do you organize it with?
all my shit's really simple. I mean, we'll send out like verses and stuff, but mainly I don't want a tight frame. I don't want to be a religion, right? So frames are really wide. Study the book. What did you receive? What did you read? And then like we have like a system where that we have like different stacks. We have the prayer stack, Bible stack, where they can go in and write down what they receive from it and send it to the group. So then everybody can read their whatever anyone's receiving. And then also in my group, like I don't care. There's no arguing about religion in my group. Like if someone starts going like, well, you know, it says in the Bible, I'm like, shut the fuck up. That's not how we roll here. Like you're going to receive something different than him. So if he's getting a truth that he feels from this, that we respect that and we listen. Like I've had guys do that. I go, shut your mind and open your heart, my friend. It's time for you to listen. And it's created a really cool culture where people can really like receive and freely share what they're seeing. We had a guy once, it's like, bro, I think Satan is God. There's this weird thing where it's like, I think they're in cahoots. And this guy got all like butthurt about it. I was like, just listen. And he made a really good point. He's like, without evil, without resistance, there would be no growth. And he's like, they're buddies, dude. He put him here for a reason. He gave him a job. And it was a really cool idea, but it flipped out a couple like real like in the box Christians. And I'm like, shut up and listen. Like, let it in. Then have your own opinion about it. That's fine. I don't need to argue about it. Who the fuck knows anyway?
Yeah.
You don't know.
We just had on David Weck and he went into a whole devil created by God sort of thing. Like he had the same exact conversation, like just literally last episode.
the Mormon in me like gets all intense, like no, that's the evil.
Well, what was the thing that also Weck said? We're here to tell the glory of God for our stories, or something. Wasn't
I
that what he
forget.
said?
I
Main
forget.
philosophy, something like that.
Yeah. I I don't know. It's the God thing. It's really interesting. The path that you end up going on when you're, I don't want to say self-improvement, right? Like, cause that sounds like almost like mental masturbation. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, when trying to better yourself and you come on these checkpoints and like so many of these places just end going to your religion, just go to Christianity or go to whatever religion, and you end up coming full circle with shit. I have a lot of friends that started off good Catholics, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this, maybe not, and now good Catholics all over again. It's
Yeah.
it's
With
it's
a
really
whole
cool to
different
see the
view.
cycle with a lot of people.
It is. And if you notice, like there's guys that are stuck on the cusp of having to go through that darkness, but they're too scared, so they don't. So they
Yeah.
just don't ask the questions. And that's kind of when they just like settle in and die. You know? It's almost like God's like, hey, you got to go on this path and you have to go against the grain. And you need to leave your family and your country and go discover and draw your own map. Until you do that, you will never know me. And all the family's like, you can't do that. It's bad. It's evil. But in his heart, his soul is pulling him to just go on this adventure of darkness. And like those that decide to go will find a different level. So much of this is transformation. Like the next level of you requires you to jump off the cliff into fear
Yeah.
and a letting go of what's good for something better. And there's always fear involved and there's always risk involved. And it is a constant process, an infinite process that never ends. The next one is always coming up right in your face
Who keeps you in
across the
check?
board. What's that?
Who keeps you in check?
Well, my wife, for sure. Garrett White's been a real close friend of mine. Um, he's been a mentor to mine the last year and a half. Still keep in touch with Wes. Um, but as of right now, someone really having their thumb on me. Like I have my own fitness coach, but like someone really having their thumb on me, I don't have that right now. You know, I think I'm seeking for that
Hmm. Yeah,
for the next.
that's always tough. Like with me, I don't know, from a coaching standpoint, I don't know if I'm always looking for coaches smarter than me to mimic, you know, or someone that always has a leg up on me. I don't know if I'm looking for that. Am I trying to create that? Yeah, and what am I supposed? And a lot of the best coaches that I've talked to, they're on their own. They're out on that fucking mission all by them fucking selves, and they got to figure it out for themselves, and they got to become who they become rather than, having someone show them the ropes. And I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of people show me ropes, right? But maybe it comes to a point where it's sink or swim and you pull the Jocko and it's just extreme discipline. You got to be your own fucking man.
I think you're right, dude. And because I think like what I've done a lot, like I'm very coachable. So when I hire a coach, I just go all into their world. I just go, I'm gonna morph into you for a while so that I can see from your view. And then I'll go in there and I'll do that for a while. And then I'll come out and I'll go, okay, who am I now with this knowledge that I got? And then I'll roll for a while and then I'll find another one and I'll go into their world and I'll just try to just become them a little bit, right? Then I'll come back out. And so I've done this like 4 or 5 times and I'm now kind of to the point where I'm like, I'm just ready to fully write all my own music, you know? And I don't really know what that looks like completely. So it feels a little scary.
Yeah.
But that's probably, isn't that like the story for all great people? Like, say, like, for example, a sportsman, let's say a tennis player. And it's easy for me to say Roger Federer because everyone knows him and was in Swiss for so long. At the beginning, he has to look for more experienced players so he can model off them and mimic them and take their training techniques and what worked good for you. I'm going to just try and do that. But at some point, he can't do what anyone else is doing because he's playing at a different cusp. So then he has to go on his own journey. And we always like to take away uncertainty. That's one thing that is universal. So looking for mentors to try and tell you the answers. Why people love to read autobiographies. But your life can't match his even if you try and stick to the book. You're never going to have the same timeline like that person, right? So I think you're right, Mike. I think you're a weird autistic motherfucker that's on your own now, mate.
So speaking of the autism thing, one last thing. Empathy. You spoke about empathy. And you seem like an emotional guy. You're capable of hearing them, you're capable of feeling them. And I'm sure you've attracted those CEO types that they trend towards sociopathy and less towards empathy, right? Like they're just a little further on this scale. So
Yes.
what do you teach them to be more empathetic? Do you help them see things so they become more sympathetic? What are you doing with them? Like, because empathy seems to be very, very big in your world.
Very much so. There's I asked God for greater love. He gave me greater pain and greater give a shit. I didn't know that was part of it. So I was seeking greater love, and with it came more stress, more pain. Like, that's required though, because how are you gonna love if you don't care? And caring a lot is stress, pain. So wow, okay. So a lot of these guys do come to me because they're smarter than me, they're more organized, they see holes in all of my game. They're just like, Kyle, you have no plan. Like, what the fuck are you doing? They're watching my business decisions. They're like, what is this? You idiot. But they can't help but go like, what the fuck is that? This thing I feel around you. I'm like, that's called feeling, bro. It's the thing your wife wants from you. Like, here, we got to tap into this. And then just by being around it, they start to see it better. And then questions in the right container can crack them open, and they'll have a moment where they break. And to me, that's the most beautiful moment, when a man who has maybe cried once in his life lets all that shit out and is like, feels like he's not allowed to do it. But then we create this environment where I'm like it 70% of my sales calls, that guy's gonna cry. And a lot of them have never cried. And they say, I'm so sorry. I go, don't you fucking apologize to me. This is safe for you to do this. This is shit that's been built up for years. I want you to just let this out. Not only am I not judging you, I'm so proud of you for going here with me. It's an honor for me. So I just flipped the story on, like, you're actually a badass motherfucker who isn't afraid to face this now. Because guys who are that route, they usually have stuffed it. Every man is an emotional man. They just don't know how to tap into it, or they're protecting themselves from it because it's either been called weak or it's too painful. So, yeah, my guys call me the Dark Shepherd. And I like that. I was like, that's cool. Because I used to be called Slim Shaky. Now I'm the Dark Shepherd. I finally got a nickname that's kind of cool. Like, okay, cool. Because you can't name yourself. You can't nickname yourself. It doesn't work. But because they've just been at events where, like, I'm watching the guys and I'm looking at the hardest dudes. And maybe we have 20 guys and 15 you can tell are feeling. And you're like, I just want these guys to feel. If I can get them to feel, they're gonna find what they're looking for. but there'll be 5 guys that are hard nuts to crack. And so I'm just watching them, kind of following them around. I'm just waiting for, there's always a moment. And if I can be brave enough in that moment to get weird enough with them and just trust, they'll have their moment. And literally there's like a crack in the door. And if I don't get it at that moment, I might miss it. And that's the moment they remember. I had a guy at my last event. He's like, bro, you got 2 tears out of me. I have had 2 tears come out my entire life. One when my child was born, he was a fireman. And he's like, one, I did CPR on this kid and we lost him. And I heard the wailing of the baby's father. Those were the 2 tears I've ever had in my life. You got 2 out of me. I was like, okay. How did it feel? He's like, fucking amazing.
I fucking love it. I love this, bro. So for anyone fucking listening, SuperHuman Fathers, dude, this is I love everything you're about, bro. I absolutely love everything you're about, man. This is what we fucking need. This is what men need. We need I mean, call it a fucking cult. I don't give a shit. We need fucking something.
Yep.
We need
We just have to
something,
be
bro.
careful. You just have to be careful. Cult leaders usually will end up calling themselves the Messiah or tightening up a really rigid box of belief and then sleeping with everyone's wives, taking the burden of
Oh, fuck.
It's one too many times, no?
Fuck. Well, bro, dude, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you, your time. And I mean, fuck. You keep us posted. You keep fucking crushing, dude. I love it.
Thank you. You guys filled my soul today. Great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.